Hello, loves. Today, we're going to talk about Etsy's newest video feature, Explore, and it launches today, December 8th. So if you haven't had the chance to meet me before today, my name is Christina Nicole, and I'm a maker and photographer, and I teach makers how to attract more customers and make more sales for their product-based business by taking their own high-quality product photos that communicate the right information to the right customer, resulting in more sales. And in general, I just have a slight obsession with visual marketing and sales. Today, I have two of my dear friends joining me to chat about this new Explore feature and share why they think video is a trend all makers need to get on board with. So welcome, Kara. Kara is a maker and a maker coach as well. She sells natural soaps, skincare, and candles in her handmade shop, A Wise Oak Soapery. And she's also the founder of Cavo Creative, where she teaches makers how to master video content for their online shops. And Liz, welcome. Liz is the owner of Shop Intaglio, a printing and engraving company. She's a six-figure maker selling on Etsy, Amazon, and her own website. Thank you so much, ladies, for joining me today to talk about Etsy's newest feature, Explore.
Thank you for having us. I'm so excited to be here.
So the first thing I want to talk about is, so the Explore, it was probably about a month and a half ago when people started getting messages and emails from Etsy inviting them to try out this new feature. Now, Etsy is also saying that it's being released today, December 8th, to a select number or small group of buyers who can actually view Explore inside the Etsy buyer app. So when they go into the app, down the bottom menu, you'll see an option to click Explore. I am not seeing that on my end, so I am not a select buyer that got chose. I don't know if you checked that or not, Kara. Liz does have access to it, but I'm assuming it's kind of like the listing video option where if you had signed up for that, which that was a sign up option, not an invite, but you could see other sellers that were doing it. Do you think it's kind of the same thing there, Liz? Like if you have access to Explore, then you're also viewing Explore?
Yeah, it's a two-way street. So if you're able to put videos up to Explore, you automatically are able to view them.
Okay. And as far as who was invited, the only thing that we can see inside of the email and the messages that kind of correlates is they mention shops that are very active on social media, which I wanted to get your opinion on that list. Like, do you feel like that's just like a filler they put out there, or do you think they're actually tracking shops on social to see like who's actively already using video and inviting those people?
Well, when you go in and look at your Etsy stats, you can very easily see who is funneling traffic to your shop through socials. So it really makes sense that they would take shops who have that funnel set up already and have them be the first place to start.
See, there you go. She's so smart. She always pulls that little thing out there that is just like, yes, why didn't I think of that? Okay, so let's tackle first, like, what is Explore? So Etsy is calling it an experience that surfaces engaging video content inside of the Etsy buyers app as a fun way for buyers to discover new items. They're saying it's a whole new way to get noticed. It's a new feature that Etsy is testing. So again, we talked about not everybody's going to have access to use Explore or to view Explore. And so basically what you can do is you can create and upload video posts through the Etsy seller preview app. They'll show up on we did determine that it showed up on the shop's homepage at the top, right? And yes. Then they'll also be available within that the buyer's app under the Explore option. And as of right now, it is only available on iOS. So if we're not seeing it on desktop, we're not seeing it. Did we check? Well, I can't check. You have a Mac, right? Are you seeing Explore at all on your end as far as on your Mac list? Can you check that out quick? Just because that is technically iOS.
Yeah. Yep. But let me double check.
Okay. I'll let her check on that as we continue to kind of just talk about what it is.
No, my homepage looks the same.
Your actual
So
homepage
it's-
just looks like the old homepage, no Explore videos on it. Okay. So
That's
we're
right.
thinking just mobile iOS at this point. And so basically the Etsy seller preview, if this is a new thing that's been put out too, is that the new blue app, which I'll pop a little picture of it up there. The blue app is the new Etsy seller preview app. That's where you can access it. That app is eventually said to replace the old one in 2022 for sellers. It kind of seems like, based on what you shared, so Liz went ahead and shared like some of it with us, and she'll show you here in a bit, but it kind of seems like they're kind of jumping onto the Reels TikTok swing, right? What's your guys' take on that, Kara?
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's the first thing I thought of when I saw that they were coming out with the Explore videos, and I got really excited. So yeah, I think that's definitely what they're doing here.
Because it actually shows up, and like I said, she'll show you, but it shows up kind of like a news feed, almost like a social news feed with all different types of videos from shops. So let's go over quick what we actually know. So this is just the facts that we know about Explore right now. It's only available through invite only. We mentioned that if you received an email or a message, you got invited to try it out. And let's clear that up for us, those who are getting a lot of traffic from social, means they're active on social. It seems that they were the ones who got the first invite to test this out. It's only available on mobile through the mobile app and iOS. Sorry, Android users. Android always gets like screwed, right?
Always. I
There's
get
an
so
Android
excited
user.
about stuff, and then I'm like, really? I actually ended up getting an iPad just so I could take advantage of some of these things that are only available
through iOS. Yeah. The video that you upload can be up to 3 minutes long, and it does include sound. So this is different from the listing videos where there's no audio on that. So these will have sound. So just be careful if you're recording and you're used to making listing videos and it automatically takes the audio out, your audio will be included in these videos. Your file size cannot exceed more than 750 megabytes. And your videos must link to a listing in your shop, which as you're uploading the video, you'll see an option to do that. And so Etsy says that the goal is to potentially increase traffic to your actual shop. So they suggest that you upload as many videos as possible. There's no limit, right? Like you could upload multiple times a day. Are we seeing anything about limits or anything like that?
I haven't encountered a limit, no.
Okay.
I didn't say anything about limits.
So for the best engagement with shoppers, they recommend uploading at least 2 videos a week. And this is coming from Etsy. And consider posting to Explore like every time you post to social media, which could be more than that. One of the questions that they seem to already be getting is if your listing actually sells out and is no longer active, what happens? Because it's linked, the video would be linked to a listing. And it says if the listing becomes sold out or otherwise inactive, the post will remain active. And the linked listing will then be replaced with a link just to your main homepage instead. Videos cannot be saved as a draft. So as you're going in and creating the videos, you have to push it through and post it. And I think that's it as far as like the actual information about the feature and how it is used. If you have any other questions, just post them in the comments and we'll try to get you guys an answer. So at this point in time, video has just blown up and it's really hard to ignore going into 2022 because it's just everywhere. And as I've done an interview with Liz before, and she talked about like, if Etsy's rolling something out, they're rolling it out for a reason, and we need to pay attention to that. So in May of 2020, they launched the listing video option, which was great because that really had a focus on helping to actually convert shoppers into buyers by being able to provide them with more information that maybe your photos couldn't portray. And now this kind of seems to be more they're jumping on board with video marketing. So marketing side of it, grabbing people's attention and getting them to your actual shop. So Liz, can you talk a little bit about why you think that this is a feature that Etsy is jumping on board with and why we should pay attention to it from like the Etsy side of it all?
It's really clear that videos, especially in like the reel format, by reel, I mean REEL, work. They just work. You see them on TikTok, but you also see them on Instagram, on Facebook. If you have the Facebook app, mine has been reels every like fifth thing lately. And I find myself watching them because they're interesting to me and I want to see what happens. People like that, especially in little pieces, like under 3 minutes. You don't have to sit and watch 10 minutes. So if people can see that and engage, they're going to stay on the app longer and buy. And it's such a simple formula that it seems silly that we haven't done video on Etsy prior to today.
So you think people are it's gonna be kind of used, like you said, like social, where they're gonna tap that explore and they're gonna go in and they're just gonna look through like they would on Instagram or Facebook, and it's gonna engage them and it's gonna push them to people's pages and get them to, because that, you've mentioned that before, the goal is for you to stay on the app and explore. I love that. I love the explore concept. Like that's a perfect name for it.
So I was setting up the screen cap for you to kind of show you what my new homepage looked like on the app. I hadn't looked at it in a couple of weeks. And the first time I had looked at it, nobody had video set up yet. So it was like just my video, which was not super exciting to me. But when I did it yesterday, I'm scrolling through and my intention was just to kind of scroll through at an even pace and show you what it looked like. And I couldn't because I kept being like, oh, look at this one. I want to see what this looks like. And I go down and go, oh, I have to see this one. And it was impossible for me to not stop and actually watch videos as I went. And I know what their purpose is. And like, even if you see behind the curtain, you're still like, I need to watch this. This is so fascinating.
Yeah, it is. It's so engaging. And with that, let Kara jump in and talk about that. So video, like why is video something that all marketers, we're all marketers, right? All marketers should be using, but especially product-based businesses and especially on Etsy?
Video obviously gives motion to your product. It allows you to see the product in different angles, different dimensions without going from photo to photo to photo, which if you've probably noticed in doing that, I don't want to say it's awkward, but it doesn't give you the full picture of the product, to really give you that, I can't think of the word, the scale. So if you're holding the product in your hand and you're moving it around, you can really see, size compared to the person that's holding it or the desk that it's sitting on or whatever your setting may be. Because, it combines the visual imagery and it gives extra information than say just a photograph can. They help if you are in the video, even with just your hands. It can really show that these products are actually handmade. It shows the process that goes into making the products. It shows that it's not just order, grab it off the shelf, and it's in a box. It shows that there's time that goes into it. There's a process to it. So depending on the type of video that you decide to do at that particular moment, because there's different videos you can do to give variety and show different aspects, it can really help increase, like you guys were talking about, the engagement, increase the visibility. 84% of marketers say that it's helped them to generate leads and gain new, introduce the brand to new people. So, and then even if they don't buy then, they're now aware of you. And, there's, 90%, sorry, I have little notes here. 90% of people discover brands that way. And even if they don't purchase right away, they're watching you, especially if you continually add video and, they might not follow you the first time, but the more they see your process and see you, like I said, even if it's your hands, I know not everybody wants to get on camera right away. There are, creative ways that you can kind of inject yourself into the video without showing your face. But the more that they see you create and see your process, the more interested those people are going to be that your message resonates with.
It's definitely
I
that.
did notice
Oh, go
that
ahead.
a lot of the video, I noticed a ton of the videos that are up in Explore so far just feature people's hands and aren't their faces. And it'll be like packing the product into a box. So I buy a lot of plants on Etsy. That's kind of my primary thing I buy. So that was what Explore was showing me a lot. There's not a lot of things that you can do with a plant to show like how I made it, but there's tons of videos from different people where the camera is just like a flat lay style and they just show their hands going in and packing things up. And it was really human and engaging. And you don't have to get elaborate, like keep it really simple. Just show what you're doing, and you're doing the thing you would normally have done anyway. But it really spoke to me and made me care about the brand.
And I think that's super important because I think this is going to be a game changer for Etsy, because I think Etsy lately has been getting, I don't know if it necessarily is a bad rep, but a rep in regards to no longer being like handmade. And maybe that's just more on like the seller side versus like the buyer side. But everybody, you know, goes to Etsy. Like Etsy is known for handmade, right? So when people want to get that personalized gift and they want to shop from a small business, they want that human element. So being able to see that they are actually purchasing from a person who is making these things, you can show them that you're making these things by hand. And they can, it's part of like just our natural, I don't want to say ability as humans, but just natural human element to want to engage with other humans. And that's so hard in such a virtual world these days. And so when you can attach that human element to it, it only is, like Liz said, it's only going to make you feel more connected to that brand and all of that. So what about sales, Kara? You had mentioned that a certain percentage of people are getting more leads with video, but what about sales? Are they actually seeing conversions from these videos?
Absolutely. 84% of marketers say that they have seen an increase in sales after they started using video.
Wow, that's amazing.
So it really does make a difference. And really, when you think about it, it's like when you go to the store, you know, you're able to pick up the item, you're able to move it around, you're able to look at it, you're able to read, you know, the packaging. And when you're looking at pictures, you're not necessarily able to do all of that. You can look at the pictures, of course, that were posted, but it really gives that it gives more of an in-person feel to the object. And that actually is one of the reasons that I like the hands videos that we've been talking about. It's more of a, you know, point of view to me, and kind of helps me visualize it better if it were in my own hands, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Of course, not all videos need to be that way, but that's just one of the reasons that I really like the hands videos. But they absolutely do see an increase in sales based on people seeing videos and watching them. I know that I have bought more off of video than I have just from seeing pictures. And, you know, I'm guilty of sometimes not reading the description. So I think that it will help kind of replace that too. So people that don't necessarily read the descriptions or don't read them thoroughly, or if you're like me, you read the description, but you're looking for a certain answer. So you just kind of disregard everything else that may be there, even if it's very important. You know, and actually people retain, I believe it was 95% of what's presented in a video rather than what they see in photos or text. And of course, right behind video was pictures. So
I think text is like 10%. Like it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I was surprised. It was a really low amount. And I believe 10% was correct.
And that's interesting because you mentioned, you know, obviously I'm a product photography coach. So as she's talking about like not being able to show things in images, I'm like cringing here. I'm like, but I could teach you how. But no, like she's right. You have to get very, very creative to be able to answer specific questions and really replace that in-person buying experience through images. So this is just that extra step that we can be taking. And it's a very interesting, I shouldn't say it's interesting to me. I mean, it is interesting to me, but Etsy's a huge company, so why would they not? But from a business standpoint, they are not only now getting people to engage more with video, but once they, I think, and now that I find this interesting, I want to get your take on this list, but now that they, I think they started, do you think they started with listing videos because it was the easier option? Or do you think they started with listing videos because now that they've done Explore is going to attract more customers, it's going to lead them to the listings. And now that they're in the listing, that listing video is going to help convert the buyer. Like, do you think that was strategically done from a like conversion standpoint? Or do you think like it just was the easier option to start with listing videos?
I think that they did the listing videos to kind of train the sellers to get comfortable with the videos.
It's an easier option.
When the video option came out, I remember a ton of sellers were very uncomfortable with it. They're like, what do I have to do? The pictures move. What do you mean the pictures move? and people got kind of freaked out about whether or not they would have sound in it. And now everybody is pretty comfortable with it, but it was an uphill battle. And now that videos are like a standard thing in the listings, and now we have Explore, I think people will find it to be pretty natural to transition over to that.
Yeah.
And the listing, and now the buyers expect a video to be in a lot of listings. Like not every listing, I think it depends on category a lot, but it is kind of an anticipated component.
At this point, yeah. And they may be, and also think about that because they may be questioning why they go into one listing and see a video and why go into another shop and they don't see a video. It's a transparency thing. It builds trust. It allows you to, like I said, it's a transparency thing, like being able to give them a peek inside of your shop and the work that you're doing is super important. Now, one thing I do want to mention, because a lot of what I saw when they did the listing videos, I saw a lot of people just compile a video of images. And I'm going to first point out that I do not recommend that. Kara, will get your take on this as well, but it's it's not benefiting you in any way, shape, or form to take, say, the pictures you already have in your listing and put them into a video that's just like scrolling in and out. That's not the goal of the listing photos, the listing videos. Sorry. Listing videos is when you get to that point where they're in your listing, the goal of the listing video is to help provide them with more information so that they feel like they're getting their questions answered, or maybe their objections that they have about purchasing from you answered, different things like that. So really just building trust and answering their questions. But as far as Explore, we're looking more at grabbing their attention because you don't have a lot of time when it comes to that to do that. So they have to be super engaging. So let's talk real quick about the types of videos that you could potentially be making for Explore. And when you go into the app to choose that, they'll give you, I think it was 7 options that we had.
Yes.
Yeah, 7 options of different types of videos, and you have to actually select one. Are we seeing that come up in any way, shape, or form, Liz? Like, is it showing like, okay, this is a creative process video? Or is that just really...
When you are a buyer and you're looking at the videos, it doesn't tell you what kind of video it is. So it's just a prompt as this. No.
Okay.
It's a prompt for the seller, I think, to kind of put you on the right trajectory.
Okay. So it's not necessarily categorizing any of the videos inside of the viewing portion of it. It's just more of a option where they're inspiring. Get inspired, right? That's what it says. Get inspired. Here's the different types of videos to create. Okay. Tell us about that, Kara.
Okay. Well, there, as Christina mentioned, there's 7 different categories. The first one that comes up is the item showcase. And that's basically where you would kind of demonstrate the product, perhaps more than one, maybe to show variety and that sort of thing, like a showcase. And then of course there's the creative process where you could show behind the scenes, you'd show yourself, making the product, doing different things with the product during, the whole process, perhaps even designing a new product, if you illustrate or draw or, do art, those sorts of things, actually going through and kind of, starting from the beginning to kind of map out your new product. And then there's the item.
Quick question.
Yep.
Objection. I'm going to hear objections on that one specifically because I get it with product photography. People don't want to show behind the scenes. They don't want to show their process because they are afraid that their competition is going to steal all of their secrets. So my take on that is you don't have to give away what is that called? Your brand, your recipes. Your secret ingredient or your secret thing that you do to make your, whatever perfect, whatever sets you apart. But just really this to me, processing video for Etsy specifically is going to be one of the most important types of videos that you can create because it's going to show that you are hand making your products, right? And we're dealing with a lot of resellers and that kind of stuff on Etsy right now. So this is just going to be that transparent thing that shows, hey, I am hand making these products. So you have any other advice there?
Yeah, just show a part of the process that is obvious. If you make pottery, show yourself painting a little piece of the pottery before you put it in the kiln. Everybody knows that part happens. It's not a secret. You don't have to show, the entire alphabet of the process. Just like when you're making soap, show the really cool part where you pull it out of the thing and
the cutting's awesome. My favorite.
Yeah.
I love watching Kara cut her soap.
But we all know that part happens. It's not a secret.
Right. And that honestly is something that I really worried about when I started doing video a couple of years ago to increase engagement, so that people would have a better idea of the process. Even though at the time, obviously I was doing it for social media, I didn't want people to think that I was just, buying wholesale, because there are companies you can buy at wholesale and resell it. I wanted to show that I was actually making it. And I did worry about that. I'm like, well, they're going to learn my recipe. They're going to know what I put in it. And then I realized that people are not going to know what I'm putting in it if I don't, say what I'm putting in it. Obviously I'm not going to go through the process and say I'm putting this much of this in it and that much of that in it. Before I even start the video, I have everything weighed out. I have everything setting around, and then I just kind of, do my thing. And like Liz said, I record parts of it. And if I do record the whole thing, I'll do a time lapse. That way it's, you see that it's being handmade, but things are so fast in motion that unless you really wanted to take the time to slow things down, there are many ways to not give away your trade secrets and let others know exactly how you put your product together.
And also, so a couple of years ago, I was reading this really amazing interview with a lady who was the director of a museum. I think it was the Museum of Modern Art, but it was something like that. And they had some of these paintings that are those super modern paintings where it's a big square with one color on it. And they have the paintings up and people come and see it and they're like, oh, this is so cool. But then you have this other guy who comes in and sees it and he's like, my 3-year-old could do that. Why is that in a museum? And so she was asked about this. And her answer was, well, you could do it, but you didn't. And I think a lot of it just boils down to that. Sure, you could do it, but you didn't. And a lot of people watch these videos and they're like, oh, I could totally do that. But they won't. I go to McDonald's and I buy a sandwich and think, oh, I could probably figure out how to do that. Am I ever going to do that? No.
So you're speaking more on not necessarily worrying as a maker yourself, not worrying about your competition. You're speaking on as a maker, potentially worrying about shoppers saying, oh, well, that looks easy. Let me just do it myself instead of buying. Is that what you're kind of talking about?
Both of them, because a good seller isn't really going to care what process other sellers do. And if it's another seller watching other people do it, they're going to watch a bunch of sellers and come up with their own process. They're not going to just copy you specifically.
Yeah.
And if it's buyers watching, they're just going to think it's cool. So the whole premise of people like watching what you're doing and stealing it, I think, is one, just not really based in how people work in the first place.
And you and I have talked about this before where, I mean, makers have this, gosh, I don't know what the right word is. I want to say like fetish, but I don't think that's right. Like they have this thing with their competition. Like they still are so worried about their competition. And I think it's important to remember at this point in time that while, yes, your competition can view what you're doing and all of that, you're going to have so much more engagement and potential sales with shoppers that it's worth using video and showing yourself and showing up in the long run in that regards versus worrying about like what your competition may see. Point blank.
So
That's what a lot of people forget about the different markets too. Like not everybody is your customer, and everybody's going to have different customers. So, you know, how many people are there in the world? Like there's so much, there's room for everybody is my point.
Yep.
Yeah. All like my primary product is a product that only has one way to make it. So everybody who makes it is making it the same way. And there's not a lot of wiggle room on the price, because if we change the price on it, it wouldn't make sense if we went up or down. And there's other people who make the exact same thing, and that's fine. And some of my customers buy from some of my competition at the same time that they buy from me. That's also fine. Like, I don't buy the exact same loaf of bread every day. We can all share. It's okay.
And obviously, you know, all of us sitting here, to me, collaboration, like that's one of like my big values, very value-based for me is, and that's part of the reason I created Makers on the Rise, the podcast, was to bring, you know, from my industry, bring coaches together to share a space where we can help makers versus always like worrying about like who's doing what and where that competition's lying, because we all become stronger together. And if your goal is to help somebody, which selling is helping, so it's collaborative, right? Together, we're better in numbers, girls, better in numbers. Okay, moving on. Kara, let us know the next type of potential video we could be doing here.
You can simply do a video of packing an order, you know, putting it in the box. If you do any special thing to the product itself, you know, putting it into the special packaging that you have, putting it into the box, closing the box, you know, to me, that's pretty self-explanatory, but that doesn't mean that you can't get creative with it to make that stand out. You know, to me, I think that the packaging part is one of the more neglected parts anyway. Even with pictures, like that's so important to get good pictures of your packaging and the whole process so that people can see how the product is going to arrive. So to me, you know, this is just, you know, kind of a reinforcement, you know, just like with pictures, that's usually the first thing that people are going to see when they come across, especially those, at least at this point on Etsy, when they go to Etsy and they start searching for something, they're going to get the pictures. The pictures are what's going to, you know, drive people in. And then once they're there, they can see the listing videos in that. Now with Explore, you know, that's going to be a little bit different. And I'm sure that it's going to gain a lot of momentum, and then people are going to start scrolling through. But to me, like the photos are still going to be like the first thing that people are going to see when they get to your shop until they start digging in.
Yeah, Explore is going to be very like engaging and get them, like lead them to, it's like a lead generation type thing. It's going to lead them to your listing. But once you're in your listing, you need to utilize that listing video and your product photos to really convert them and make them feel confident. And I think that the packaging video itself is going to be a great use of Explore, because I don't know about you guys, but for me, I love shopping for gifts on Etsy. Like Etsy's my go-to place for gifts because of that human element, and actually purchasing something that I put thought and care into for somebody I love is very important. So if I were to see a product being packaged and it had like you know, like, why is the word leading me? Like high, what is that called? The great packaging. Like, why is the word leaving me?
I can't think of it either.
I want to say high price point, but that's not it. Like high quality packaging, but there's another word for it. Like
presentation.
Just to where it's on point, like on point packaging. Like, you know what I mean? Like I want to buy from the company that's going to package my product up all pretty, especially if I'm delivering it directly to, you know, this recipient. I want to see that how it's going to arrive, because if it arrives on point, which that's still not the word that I want, but if it arrives like, oh, that's going to make me angry now. I can't think of the word. Anyways, everybody knows what I'm talking about. I think just having that pristine, you know, high quality type packaging. Yes, it's going to make me want to purchase that as a gift even more.
Yeah. And I think too, in hearing you talking, that made me think of the gift aspect. I get a lot of people in my shop that do purchase gifts, and, you know, they mark it as a gift. And, you know, that's where you could even use one of the videos, even as another packing the order, is actually showing that, you know, if you do this, is showing that you will put in a custom, you know, gift message into the packaging. You know, in my mind, I'm seeing like you're packaging the order, and then that's the last thing that you put right on top, so that when they open the box, they see that gift, you know, that gift message, you know, and it doesn't have to be for an actual order. You know, you want to protect people's privacy and, you know, who things were sent to, but you know what I'm saying? Like just little things like that, and showing that, and then that will show that you actually do those custom messages, or, you know, whatever it may be that really makes your shop stand out in those processes.
It was so, premium packaging.
Premium, yeah.
I said on point.
Well, it meant the same.
Oh, go ahead. I just interrupted you. Sorry.
That's okay. So you can get really creative with these types of videos. I think half of the battle is just, you know, telling the story. You know, what's the purpose of this video? What do I want to get across here? And what's the best way that I can do that? And, you know, you kind of start backwards. It's kind of, you know, sounds kind of funny, but you start with, what is my end result going to be? So here's my end result, and how am I going to get there?
What's the goal?
And then you kind of do the beginning beginning last. You know, it's kind of like you work backwards, and that helps you create the story. That helps make sure that you get across what you want. So part of that, you know, storytelling is, what is it that, you know, you think packaging an order. Okay, so I think I'm going to, you know, put my camera overhead, and I'm going to point it down. I'm going to get a box. I'm going to start, you know, putting stuff in it. But when you stop and think about it, you know, what are things that I can highlight even during that process? You know, like I said, the gift message, if you do that, or if you put a special card, you know, handwriting something, or, you know, whatever that may be that is unique and that stands out in your process. You know, it doesn't mean nobody else does it, but I think you see what I'm saying. Just,
yeah,
you
pick the goal. Yeah, pick the goal. What is it, the purpose of the video? What are you trying to communicate? Maybe you're answering a question that you get a lot from customers. Maybe you've gotten a few objections and reviews that you're trying to you know, overcome. Just really think about intention. And this is a big thing that we talk about in the product photography world too, because like you said, people just put their product on a table and they want to snap a picture of it, and with no intention, you're doing nothing. Like, you need to be intentional about what you're doing. So really visualizing what you're trying to communicate. And then, like you said, I do everything working backwards. I work backwards on every single thing that I pretty much do. I always think about my end result, what my goal is, and then I work backwards. What do I need to do to get there? So that's a great tip.
Exactly.
I think bad reviews are one of the best places to start. So like if you make hats and you get several reviews saying, I think my hat is too small, this is a great time for you to put a hat on your head and shoot a video of it so that everybody can see exactly how big this hat is. And then you setting up expectations so that the next person sees it and is like, oh, I like that. Everybody else was silly for thinking that thing was too small.
Yeah. Very important. We got a few more different types.
We do.
Okay.
The lifestyle scene is another one. And to me, again, this is where you can get really creative. It doesn't,
Mhm.
and when I say really creative, doesn't mean you have to like spend days or hours, trying to figure out. You can start very simple, just getting creative with the lifestyle scene. We've mentioned that I do soaps and candles, and just simply like, just showing how the soap might be presented, or the candle, I think is something I think of more immediately, how that candle can be used. It's sitting on a table, it's in a room, but you just kind of get creative with how you capture that with the
Mhm.
video, because immediately when you think, okay, candle sitting on, why wouldn't you just take a picture? But if you think, again, going back to the creating a story, thinking about it, how is it being used in this particular scene? And then that way you can get different variety. In one video, it may be you're using it outside, you have friends gathered around.
Mhm.
The next one, you're using it as a centerpiece for dinner, or you're just relaxing in front of the TV, whatever that may be. Any way that you can use it, you can show in a lifestyle type of scene. So to me, on that one, the possibilities are endless. Just whatever you can think of, just to tell
They
those
could be
stories.
super simple. One of my favorite ones that I saw scrolling through was like macrame wind chimes.
Ooh.
And she had 4 or 5 just hanging in a row. And I wouldn't obviously buy 5 macrame wind chimes, but it was her inventory and they were just spinning. And I just watched it and I'm like, what is that? That is so pretty.
Yeah.
Very
There,
engaging
I
and
mean,
inspiring use and
yeah,
inspiring a certain feeling. It's very emotional. And so each of these have a very good importance. But again, I think lifestyle is one of those ones that's just so important because it's emotionally driven. And that's great for engagement, and that's great for leads, because we're emotional people, and our decisions and our, decisions we make are typically very emotional based and sometimes backed by logic, but we're emotional creatures. So yes, anything that's inspiring or connective or anything like that is great.
Absolutely. And then the next type would be tutorial, which, this goes to me into kind of with the demonstration, but more in depth. So instead of just showing what it looks like, if you have a product that needs assembly, you could show the assembly or even part of the assembly. You can focus on kind of combining like the commonly asked questions. If there's a part that might be a little tricky for people, you might do a video showing exactly
Or they don't
how,
understand how something works.
right, show exactly how it can be done. And, just again, it depends on your product, what you would do with a tutorial, but if it can be used in different ways, that's where you could talk about different ways that it could be used, and tell them how to use it in different ways. I know some of my products are that way, but and then the last category is other, and to me that just is like anything that doesn't cover
All of
the
those
above.
categories. Yeah. Which I'm
Yeah.
trying to think. I think the biggest thing to think about is, like, again, questions that you're getting. Like, people are messaging you, asking you what kind of questions, right? Being able to show that your product is handmade and you're creating that connectivity. Showing in use, inspiring use is very engaging. Looking at those reviews, meeting objections that people have, being able to prove, like, hey, maybe this was their experience, but this is what's really happening here. Packaging, we talked about all that stuff. I'm trying to think if there's really anything else. As far as tutorial, another thing, if you sell digital products, I don't know how engaging it would be to like do a quick little video of the ease of downloading. What's your take on that, Liz, as far as, because if it's kind of like social, that's not super engaging. It's not going to stop somebody in their tracks to get them to like want to click. But if that's an objection somebody has, that, hey, I might buy this digital download, but I have no clue how to actually do it. Like,
so I think it falls into that category again of, if this is the category that you're selling in, all the other sellers are in the same boat as you, right? So if you're searching for digital downloads, all of the Explore videos that you're going to see are going to be focused on digital downloads. So if you sell an item that like requires you to plop a picture in and then print it, walk people through that process, or physically print out a couple versions with different pictures on it, or print out your digital wallpaper or whatever and show it, or just shoot a screen cap video of you downloading it and changing the text or whatever, because however you would use that is however everybody else in that category would use that thing. So it might seem out of place compared to like soap videos, but it won't seem out of place compared to other digital download videos.
And you're always so good at pointing that out, because gosh, you blew my mind that one day when we were talking about that. And I was just like, oh my God, it was free shipping. We were talking about free shipping. And I'm like, but I make wood signs and I can't ship for free, because one time, next door to me, it costs $10, but across the country, it costs, $50. And she was like, but everybody that sells wood signs is in the same boat as you. So really nobody's getting the upper hand here. So it makes a great point. But in this situation, you could have the upper hand over your competition if you were willing to put some of those tutorial videos out there, because if people are out there searching and your shop shows exactly the process of how you are going to download these and all of that, and another shop doesn't, it's going to make you feel more confident in purchasing the shop that's actually showing you how to utilize the product you're purchasing. So great point as usual. Do you have anything else?
Very likely that if you're in a category like that where it feels a little awkward to make the videos, that the other sellers are just going to dismiss this program outright and not make content for it. So if you're in one of those weird sections, make as many videos as you can.
And I like that awkward thing too. Like, this is your opportunity, right? Let me ask you that from a algorithm standpoint, from a ranking standpoint. Do you think that this is going to leverage some sellers if they jump into this concept?
Absolutely.
It's like getting on like Instagram right now. Like when anybody ever, any program, or platform, any platform ever launches something, pay attention to it, because they are going to prioritize what they are launching. So if you jump into that, you are going to benefit from it significantly in the beginning before everybody else jumps on board. Do you have anything to add to that?
Absolutely.
Just that it is the truest thing. It really annoys me when I see Etsy or anybody else roll out a brand new feature, and then in all of the seller groups, I see people say, oh, that's silly, ignore it, it's no big deal, I'm just going to keep doing my own thing and I'll be fine. And I'm like, well, I mean, you might continue doing just as well as you've been doing, and if that's what you want, cool. But if you do the new thing that they're doing, you will do better.
They're going to prioritize it. Any platform is. I mean, Instagram's still prioritizing reels. Like, it's still the it thing. And I'm one of the people, but I haven't jumped on board with it yet. More so just I'm not super present on Instagram. But even I've been watching this influencer summit this week, and they're still saying, Natalie from Boss Babe is like, get on board. If you're not doing reels, do reels. So if you want to get ahead right now, this is your leverage. This is your leverage. Start utilizing Explore. And if you
don't have access to Explore yet, shoot your videos now anyway, because unlike reels,
good point.
These videos will work best if you do a tiny bit of video editing to them. And you don't have to do fancy editing. You can do it on your phone with, like, there's 6 million free apps for this. And
I've got a video on that. I'll link in the description below.
But they will work best if you do a little bit of editing, put some nice free music in the background, stuff like that, so that when you do have access to Explore, just go and hit it with all of the stuff you have and you're not overwhelmed. Great
point. Start recording them now. And we don't have any information on when, and I'll keep the description of this video updated on that, but we don't have any information on when everybody's going to access or anything like that. We don't have any idea how long they're actually going to test this or what that's going to look like. Okay. Liz is actually going to show us how to, out of the three of us, she's the one who got access to Explore. So she's going to actually screen share her phone and just kind of go through the process of exploring the Explore portion of all of this and just show you guys kind of how it looks. And then one thing we are not going to touch on today is we are not going to talk about how to actually record video or edit it. But I do have I did do a listing video one where I showed multiple apps that you can use and different ways that you can edit. So I'll link that in the description as well. But
so Etsy this morning updated the app and I can't post to Explore this morning.
I'm serious.
Well, they're rolling stuff out today and it's notoriously buggy when that happens.
Okay. So this is inside the buyer app, right? Just talk us through it.
Yes. So this is the Etsy buyers app. This is the orange buy only app. So the blue Etsy seller preview app is a like beta thing.
Mhm.
This is the same buyers app that has existed forever. So you can see now at the bottom, there's a button that says Explore. So you will know when you have access to Explore, you open up the app and suddenly everything looks very different. So for me, this is what it looks like when I open the app. So I don't click Explore. This is my new home page.
And mine will say mine, because I don't have access. It actually says home where the Explore option is.
Yeah. So I don't have a home anymore, I guess.
This is the new home.
Yes. So they are very adamant to remind you that this is a new feature. So it says that they're, still working on it. And I do want to emphasize that for people putting new things up too, because this is a new rollout. I don't know if it's technically beta, but stuff will probably change a little bit as they go through this. And that's just how new stuff works, as they see what people gravitate towards and what doesn't work as well as they thought it would when it had like 100 people using it. So the first thing to point out is you can see under the shop name here, this shop is similar to my favorites. So I have never actually gone to this particular shop before. Whereas in the past, on your homepage, you might see little single product icons of things that it thought I would like. Now I see a video. And then,
so do you think overall we're going to get pushed content? So this does look like almost like you're scrolling on social. Do you think we're going to basically get pushed content that is similar to shops that we favorited? So do you think it's going to be customized to basically our shopping, not only our search, but also our favorites?
absolutely. So I think actually search history will be less important, and your buying history and favorite history is more important, which is good.
Yeah, I asked that because I don't favorite a lot of things on Etsy personally. That's not a feature that I typically use when I'm browsing. I don't know why. I just don't.
But you buy things.
Yes.
So
Okay.
it assumes if you bought it, you liked it. But if you search things, you don't necessarily like the thing that you looked for. So It's been difficult for Etsy in the past to distinguish, why did I search for this thing and do I want to be shown more of it? So now they're veering away from that and going more for click-through engagement. So I favorited it, I bought it, I favorited the shop. So these are things I actively like. So they're going to put effort into those things.
Okay. And I want to point out too, that you've mentioned before, these things are rolled out to enhance the buying experience. So as she mentioned, Etsy's going to suggest things to you that you're going to be interested in. And it's important to like really remember that. I kind of lost my train of thought because I'm so excited and I'm watching it scroll.
I know, what's that?
I'm scrolling because I'm trying to find
I know I want to be like
a shop that I've actually favorited.
Okay.
When I was in here the past couple of times, I got a little flag that looks slightly different here.
Can I ask you one thing? If you tap on those three little dots next to like the shop name, does it allow you? Oh, and it looks like you can favorite the shop immediately from there with that little heart. But
yeah.
What's the three little things give us?
Well, first off, so this one, you can see I recently browsed an item from this shop.
Oh,
so instead of this one being similar to a thing I like, I've actively engaged with this shop. So it says like, you like them, you probably want to see them more. So then if I click the three dots, it just says report.
Okay.
So that's what I
just,
get. So then I can favorite the shop if I want, or favorite the post. And
do you think that's going to hold the same weight as actually favoriting a listing or favoriting a shop?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes. And then when you scroll down a little bit, it shows you the name of the product that this video is for, and gives you the little
The caption.
description. Yeah, when you upload the video, you give a caption. So this caption is actually super valuable, especially if your video is, let's say, a little bit more on the high concept side, rather than a straightforward, this is what I'm doing side. So you can see, you know, some stuff about it. If you're showing a tutorial, you could explain what you're talking about. You don't give like the steps of the tutorial, but you can be like, if you're putting this, you know, sign together, here's an overview of it. And you can see that it only took us 10 minutes because you did a little time lapse and it showed it or something.
One question I have for both of you quick, and just your opinion on this. So I cannot remember the stat, but I saw it yesterday, but there's some pretty high statistic on video being watched without audio. So as we can see here, captions are not being auto-generated. Do either of you suggest, because this is like another layer, like to actually caption your videos, it's like another kind of intensive layer to add in your video editing, but do you suggest captions? Like, are we going to take that a step further?
Anytime you are
Yes.
speaking,
So
I would absolutely put them on there.
So as far as I can tell, this does not have an auto caption feature.
Mm-hmm.
I never watch videos with sound, and I have a bit of a hearing disorder, so I find it uncomfortable to watch a lot of videos with sound. So there are things I know I miss out on. If I watch a video with caption, I watch the whole thing every time. So captions can be done in a way that are not intrusive to people. You just be a little text that rolls around on the bottom. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a perfect match to what you said.
Yeah, and another thing that you could do too is also kind of do it like Reels or any of that, where you go into, say you're potentially editing in a software that allows you to do text overlay. You could just add some text overlay of the most important parts of the audio. I did look this up real quick because I knew it was like outrageous. Like, it blew my mind when I read it yesterday, but who is this from? I don't know who it's from. Looks like Next TV, but it says 92% view video with sound off on mobile.
Yeah.
And 83% fully watch the video with sound off. And this was according to actually a report done by Verizon. So that's a lot. So that's something to consider.
So
see, there she goes. Yeah.
Yeah, this one.
Which is cut off.
So it looks like this video is cut off, but you get the idea.
There you go. So yeah, and honestly, batch content. So you can take this video and it could go on your Reels, it could go on Etsy, it could go TikTok, however that's working.
Yep. Yeah. And I honestly think it's more engaging to have the text like this than it would be for her to say those things. Because I'm going to remember it more if I read the name of like the marbled gray earring. Yeah.
So she may not even have, she doesn't have audio. You have it turned on. So she has no audio on there, or?
Yeah.
Okay. Other question. One thing I didn't find that's now popping in my head. This is portrait type videos. Are we seeing any landscape type videos here at all? Or is that's one thing that they didn't seem to have information on, was what aspect ratio we should be using for these.
Oh, I don't remember what the aspect ratio is, but it's all vertical.
Okay, so we're doing all vertical video here. So that's
Yeah,
something
it's
to
meant
keep
to
in
be
mind.
mobile.
Mhm.
Yeah, it is. It is absolutely meant to be mobile. It's meant to be very similar to an Instagram reel.
Yeah, I can't
I mean,
think of any of the social media, even YouTube, that is always in portrait. Their shorts are vertical.
These are so cool. See, I'm engaged. Like, look at that. How fun.
like, I don't even know what I'm watching.
But we're watching.
I don't know what he's doing.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of
And
product he creates well, actually he's doing some kind of woodworking. Very cool.
he's
Looks like he's
making
making
a
a
cutting
sign.
board.
Cutting board? Ooh.
So,
oh, chicanery, yeah.
so I'm not sure what his thing has. I don't know what this has to do with it, but the point is that he made this. Like, this is handmade, and we don't have to understand his entire process. So we can just see like, oh yeah, this guy, he's making his cutting boards by hand. Obviously, he doesn't show you a single part of his woodworking, gluing, planing process.
Yeah.
He's just showing you this cool little weird part of it. But I believe him when he says he makes these things by hand. And I think that's the point of the behind the scenes part.
Very important.
I think
And it's
another thing
fun.
that's important in these videos that I'm noticing here is that this goes back to where people say, oh, I could make that. Yeah, I could totally make that, but I see all the equipment he needs. And I realize it's just going to be, I'm going to be better off buying it from him.
Right. Like I actually probably have all of the tools that he has to make that. I'm still not going to make that. But it like gives a position of authority when he says, I make these by hand. Even if I go into the mall and go to 3 different stores where I can see a very similar product, and I believe that he's not reselling them, I think is what it really conveys.
I like the authority concept. That's perfect.
And it says so much more than showing 1 or 2 behind the scenes photos, like in your shop updates, which are kind of hard to find, or in your listing photos. Maybe you don't have room for it. I never have room for extra pictures. I recently had to like shrink all of my stuff down so that I could fit it all in 10 listing images because I just have too much for it. So I don't have any room for that stuff.
Yeah.
And this gives me a ton of opportunity to convey that it's not a resale product where I just don't have any extra wiggle room to push that.
And I definitely think that's so important right now, especially on maybe, like I said, it's hard because we deal with the seller side and the buyer side. So we see different things that maybe just buyers see. But for us, we know that that's an issue that's being experienced on Etsy at this point. So getting an opportunity to see somebody's hands on the actual process solidifies for me, like right there. Like hands down, I will purchase if I'm comparing multiple shops. I will purchase from a shop that's showing me their process before I will purchase from a shop that is not.
Absolutely. And I love this one. It's a really simple video. She's literally just like panning over the product. But if you made an item that has variations in it, like a wood item where, wood grain will vary from item to item, something like this would be an excellent opportunity to show how a dozen of them all are the same but look a little different.
That's a good type of video too. I didn't think about that, but yeah, just showing that because they are uniquely made, they not all will look the same. That's a really cool concept.
Like, these videos don't have to be complicated, I think is important to remember.
And I want to encourage everybody to just start, like, take that fear out, take the I will start creating videos when I learn more about creating videos, like start, because I'll tell you right now, the biggest thing that's going to get you growth is the experience of actually doing it. You're going to become more comfortable. You're going to learn as you go. And I see so many makers in all different aspects of business who are like, okay, well, I will start doing that when I feel more comfortable with this, or when I have a proper, camera. your smartphone. Like that's all you need. And all you need is like a free editing app. I think the one that I recommend in my video is InShot, and it does cost like a couple bucks or something, but it has like the most features as far as being able to edit quickly on your phone, but just do it.
I think it's also okay to tell everybody, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Hey guys, this is my first Explore video. Check it out.
Very good point. Yep.
It's okay. You're not expected to be good at all of the things the first time you do them. And tell people as you go what you're doing and what you're trying, and ask for feedback. And when you ask for that, people actually give it to you, and you can find your strengths, and you probably are guessing your strengths incorrectly. And then just keep doing more of it.
And there's no option of commenting or doing any of such thing on this, right? Like it's literally your only option as you're scrolling is to either click on the actual listing or favorite the item, correct? Or view the shop?
Yes, that is correct. But you can track engagement on it by seeing what items in your shop are suddenly getting a ton of favorites. The marketing panel, both in your app and just on your regular Etsy panel, because your marketing stats exist in all of the same places, will show you the engagement that you're getting and where it's coming from.
Okay. But that's something you don't have access to at this point as far. So are they showing like inside of the actual Etsy seller preview app, where you can go in and you can upload Explore options? Are they giving you analytics on just Explore, or is it being like kind of combined with your shop in general?
It's being combined, but you know how when you look at your stats, you can see like what comes from Facebook and what comes from an Etsy ad and things like that. This is one of the new choices that will show up.
So it'll say that it comes from Explore.
Yes.
Very cool.
And, you know, like any other ad that you put out, if you put a video for Explore up today, you're not going to get 1,000 hits on it tomorrow. So just let it exist for a few weeks, especially as they roll things out. Over time, it will start gaining more traction, but just keep an eye on these things and see what floats to the top, and then start figuring out what the common threads are between both the products that you're featuring and the videos.
Do you think the analytics will have information on like which video is generating the most leads? Because that's something important to kind of watch when you're looking at your numbers and that kind of stuff. Because if you're getting more engagement, more clicks, like click-throughs to your shop from a specific type of video, that means people are loving that type of video, meaning you need to make more of that kind because it was more engaging than, say, potentially a different type of video that you created. Do you think that we're going to have statistics or numbers that are that defined?
So far, they haven't given us much information on the statistics, just because we don't have, this is super new.
Yeah.
But what they have given us is a feedback button. So if you have access to Explore, that would be one of the key things I would suggest that you tell them, even if you have 0 videos up so far.
And the other thing too is you may put videos up and you may not get, a lot of leads from it initially. And don't let that be, sometimes that's a deterrent for people. I mean, any of us who starts, like all of us who started on Etsy, we started with 1 sale, then 2 sales, then 3 sales. You're on social, you started with 1 follower. You started with 1 person liking your post. Like the more consistent you can be and the more that you do it, not only the better you're going to get, but you're going to continue to have more people follow you. We have to be patient with the process. We really do. That's one of the biggest things that, I struggle with that as well.
It's important. And it's also important to remember that a lot of the engagement that you get might be something that you can't see. So a person might see the things in your feed repeatedly, but they won't click it. But because you're a dominant person in that particular niche that they follow, they keep seeing your things. And then when they're ready to buy that particular item, they just go to your shop, because they might be somebody like you who doesn't like to favorite things. It's just not what they do. But they see your shop and they're like, oh, I really like that one. And then they click it and they buy. But if you followed them through analytics, they had no trail to your path through marketing, but they still found you through marketing. And I see that a lot. And I'll ask my customers frequently, because the type of product I sell requires communication with them. I'll say, hey, how did you find me? And a lot of people tell me they find me through some kind of social, but I have no tracking evidence to see, because they weren't a clicker.
Mm-hmm. Very good point. Very good point.
I love this video. Like, we all know how embroidery works. No secret to anybody, but just seeing it, like, it's like, okay, she has her own machine, so obviously she's not outsourcing this. This is great.
And she repurposed this from TikTok. So again, like creating one video and pushing it to multiple platforms. Like
Absolutely.
this.
There's no reason to keep it on one. I think any video that you shoot, you should stick on as many platforms as you can, even if you have to edit it a little bit to be like shorter or whatever, but put it on all of them, and stick your logo somewhere on this thing, because people will save it and share it.
That's so neat.
I'm just like mesmerized by this
I
video.
know, right?
Like, I have an embroidery machine. I can do this, and I'm still watching it, just going, oh wow, this is cool.
It is cool.
And if you do this, like, she could do this exact same video for every single thing she embroiders, and people never get tired of it. You don't have to make a new type of video. Just
very true.
Every single name you embroider, you shoot the same video. It's a little boring to you, but not to your audience. People love it.
Yeah. And one thing that, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was just gonna say, I found that with cutting my soap. I actually didn't even think of doing that until somebody said, hey, I love watching soap cutting videos. I'm like, really? Okay. So I did one, and like people jumped on it. And now, like, a lot of times when I make stuff, like the cutting is one of the things that I do record, because people love it, even though, like you said, it's repetitive. It's boring to me, but they love it. Just seeing the repetitive things, the different, just even though it's the same video, and I always do them the same way.
Well, and as you mentioned earlier, you were talking about, I think a good place for people to start is maybe start just doing like time-lapse videos of you working. You can set up, a flat lay above you if you're working on something, or if you're fine with being in video, just shooting it straight on. But time-lapse are a great way of doing that, because you can just set the camera up, you can turn it on. And I'm telling you, you can walk, because they're so fast, you can walk out of a room. I did one recently when I was shooting some lifestyle images, and I did a time lapse of like the whole shoot. And my husband kept coming in and out of the shoot, and I was like, get out of here. Like, you're in my view.
I didn't see him once.
No, you didn't, did you? So like he came in, he went to the fridge like 3 or 4 times, and the time lapse ended up being so fast that, I think there's like a blimp of him real quick in it, but it moves so fast that you can pause, and you can, stop and go to the bathroom. You can do different things. Like you can go grab another piece of, material you need, or whatever it is. And then you go back, and 4 hours turns into 30 seconds, or, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's not exact time, but just start. That's my point. Like, just start. Time lapse is a great place to start, because people love watching time lapse videos of the process, and they're quick, they're fast, and you can literally just set them and leave them and not really have to do a lot of editing to them.
Even something like this to start would be really great. If you're super nervous, like, don't make it complicated. Just do it.
Right.
And it doesn't have to be perfect. Like, I'm looking at this, and the photographer in me is going, oh, her boards are crooked. But
right.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, people they're just gonna watch. Like, so don't overthink it. Like, just do it.
No, like the boards are crooked, but that's a really cute drawing.
Yeah.
That's the important part. You watch it, and like, oh, that's cute. She's got a nice style. I want to see what else she does. That's what people are going to think.
Right. And just remember too, that we are more critical of what we do than most people. And by most, I mean, 99.99999% of people are even going to notice. Like, they're not going to notice.
Nope. You're going to notice. Yeah. Like she said, so many more things that nobody else is is going to ever see.
Mm-mm. And if you don't start and you wait for things to be perfect, you're never going to get started.
And I will tell you, I've been that perfectionist that's like seeked perfection. I've waited for perfection, and I felt like I got to a point where I was close to perfection. So I, ended up releasing it. And once I released it, it evolved because I was in it. Like, and that's the thing. The best way to grow is by taking action and doing it. The best way to experience something and to learn from it is by doing it. Make the mistakes. Nobody's judging those mistakes except for you.
Right. Exactly my point.
Don't let perfect be the enemy of good.
Well, and there was, gosh, I wish I could remember it, but it's either like Brendan Burchard or somebody, Tony Robbins, that talks about that, like the seeking of perfection, like perfection doesn't exist. So like you're seeking something that's never going to be attainable. So yeah, but that's, I'm a recovering perfectionist and I have to remind myself every day.
Me too, Christina. Me too.
Okay, so Liz was going to show us how to actually upload a video, but this, the whole thing launched today and it seems like we're getting some glitches from Etsy and she's not able to actually click the button and access it. So just real quick, it's super simple, easy to use. You go into the blue Etsy seller preview app. That is the new app that's in beta right now that they're looking to replace the old seller app with. You go in there, you go into the marketing tab, which is the bottom right-hand corner, correct, Liz?
Yes.
And once you're in there, you will hit the explore button. There'll be an option. If you do not have that option, then you do not have access to it. But once you click explore, you go into it and you upload your video. You can add caption to your video. You will link your video to a certain listing in your shop. And then you're going to designate what type of video it is. And that's the 7 options that Etsy is going to give you. And it does.
The listing that you link to has to be an active one.
Okay. And as we mentioned earlier, if that somehow deactivates, the link will be replaced with just your shop homepage. It does say if you've left any of the required fields blank, or if the video does not meet like the requirements of length or file size requirements, then it does say that you will get an error. You do have the option of deleting posts. I'm not really sure why you would, but do you have a take on that, Liz?
So it's important to remember that there's no editing on these videos. What you upload is the final product. A lot of the other platforms that we might use do have some sort of post-processing built into when you upload it. So you might be anticipating that. That does not exist here. So if you accidentally upload something or you don't have the correct audio on it or something, you could go in and delete it and try.
Or you forgot that they have audio. That's a good point. So yeah, you just go into the explore and go to, it says your post grid, and you tap on the post you want to delete. And then what's an ellipsis icon? Is that the little three dots? Okay. So there'll be the little 3 dots that you can select that allows you to delete, and you confirm that. And then we already talked about how you can monitor the post performance. It does say when your video posts become visible, which they are as of today, you'll be able to see how each post is performing. It does say each post. So how each post is performing through the following metrics. The total reach, how many buyers favorited the post, the revenue that you receive from, so we are getting actual statistics from each post, listing visits and shop visits based on that post. So this is very important because you want to be monitoring these and figuring out what videos are converting more, what videos not only are, and I think the important thing to potentially remember here, and Liz did mention that maybe somebody's following your shop, they're watching your shop and they're not ready to buy. So don't take these too hard into account, but I would definitely do more videos that are actually converting into purchases. So if you're starting to see a repeating pattern of, okay, I'm uploading this type of video and this is really helping me make sales, make more of those videos, or this type of video is really getting me a lot of visits. You have to think about, like Liz said, are they just watching me? Are they not ready to purchase? But you also have to be careful. I wonder how this is going to play into the conversion overall, because what's your thought on that, Liz? So maybe we're engaging a lot of people and they're clicking through to our shop, but we're not actually buying. Do you get what I'm asking? Like, it's more out of entertainment purposes.
I think what we're going to see is people who are not actually going to buy are just not going to click through. Because if you're like a TikTok scroller type person, you're just going to scroll through your feed. And I don't think you would be likely to click into it. That said, this is a new feature, so Etsy will be monitoring how it functions. And we will absolutely be seeing changes to how this works over the next several months as they see buyer behavior. And it's hard to guess what those changes will be. But I'm sure conversion rate is one of those very high list things that they're looking to see just what happens. So I wouldn't be too worried about it for the first 6 months.
Okay. I think that's all we've got for you. Do you guys have anything else to add?
No.
I'm very excited about this. I think this is big for Etsy. Like, they're moving into, it looks like social media to me. Like, this is going to inspire a lot of people to purchase, especially people that purchase handmade for handmade, value handmade. This is going to be a total game changer. How cool.
I agree.
Well, thank you so much, ladies, for joining me today. And thanks for hanging out with us, guys, while we chat about this new feature. So excited. We'll talk to you guys soon. Please take the time to like this video if you found it useful, and hit that subscribe button if you want to learn more about creating visual content for your handmade business. And if you want to learn 3 simple and powerful ways to attract more customers and make more sales for your handmade shop, check out my free course, Attract More, Sell More, at attractmoresellmore.com. And I'll put a link in the description below this video. Handmade is you.